Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much once again for coming to Monday night, the gate of trust, the duty of the heart. Today the topic is speak with your hand. Speak with your hand. Not with your mouth, with your hand. In a second we're going to explain why. But just before we're going to touch this topic, I will bring a short introduction. Tonight is maybe one of the most holy nights throughout the years. Is a lucky night. Why is a lucky night? Because tonight is Zayin B'Adar. The seven of Adar. Maybe all of you is going to come closer. Come closer. We have another 3 or 4. Come. Maybe the 7 of Adar is the day that Moshe Rabbeinu came to the world, the way that Moshe Rabbeinu died, the way that Esther Malka died. Is actually two righteous people that in a second we're going to see that they connected with each other. Moshe Rabbeinu and Esther Malka. What's the connections? So, I always say this one. I always say that if they ask me which generation you want to go back in history, if you had ability, like Back to the Future, which generation to go back? And I said, Yosef, I want to be nobody, but nobody next to Moshe Rabbeinu. To live in the generation of Moshe Rabbeinu. I admire and love and cherish, maybe like the Torah said, not maybe, definitely, the greatest prophet and the greatest righteous person in the world history. What is the connections? So I will tell you a first connection with simple messages. The first one is, they both went range of war against Amalek. Moshe Rabbeinu was the first one, and Esther Malka against Aman HaRasha. Aman HaRasha is descendants from Amalek. What's the message? Very simple message. Amalek is the nation that brought coldness to us. You know what's mean being cold? Asher karcha baderech. Many times a person finishes Torah, he spoke about tefillin, Shabbat, tzedakah. You want to go out? Let's do it. Let's change the world. What is Amalek is doing? Cool off. Relax. Take times. Don't become over-religious. Don't lose yourself in the process. He cool you off. That cooling off is what killing the spiritual level. Any level, even physical. But especially spirituality. When Amalek is coming and convince you, don't be passionate, don't have enthusiasm, don't have excitement. Quiet. Rabbi, why do you have to speak so passionate? Speak quiet. In university, when they teach you to speak, quiet, nice, word by word. Why do you have to be passionate? I told you the story. There was a guy that came into one of the Rebbes, Hasidim, that this Rebbe was dancing and jumping and screaming during the tefillah. This rabbi was a Litvische, Yekish, from German, very cold, very polite. Everything have to be orders. He came to the rabbi and said, Rabbi, why do you have to scream? Why do you have to shout? It doesn't fit you. It's not nice to see a rabbi that overreacted. Relax. The Rebbe didn't respond. That rabbi came to the Rebbe Friday, said, Rabbi, I'm here, I'm a guest. I'm going to be here for another few days. I don't know where to keep the money in Shabbat. I have $150,000 to keep. I trust you because you are a Rebbe. All the Hasidim know you. Can you keep it for me until Motzei Shabbat? The Rebbe said, okay. Motzei Shabbat. Now the guy is Motzei Shabbat, already his wedding. Suddenly the Rebbe, Eliyahu, Navi, Eliyahu. This guy is getting dizziness. Which Eliyahu, which Navi, where's the money? After Eliyahu Navi, he repeats 72 times, Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov. Every Shavua Tov, the guy is fuming. After the Shavua Tov and Eliyahu, he's doing Havdalah with all the Hasidim. And the guy wants to speak, he said, no. Seudah Revi'it. Seudah David Melech HaMashiach. The guy wants to eat the rabbis for David HaMelech. He said, where is my money? After Seudah Revi'it, he came to the Rebbe. Rebbe, where is my money? The Rebbe said, which money we're talking? He said, which one? The money that I gave you Friday, $150,000. He said, I don't understand. Do you have a witness that you gave it to me? He said, no. He said, do you have a contract that you signed? That we signed? He said, no. He said, so who said that you never gave me anything? The guy said, Rebbe. And then he started to scream and shout, why bad things happen? All the religious people is exactly the same. You are and he was screaming. And the Rebbe responded, why do you scream? It doesn't fit you. Why you don't speak quiet and nice? You see, when you don't passionate, meaning you don't care. Suddenly when we're talking about money, we're screaming and shouting. In the tefillah, in the shiur Torah, be polite, be pleasant. Amalek asher karcha baderech. If there's anything that Moshe Rabbeinu knowing to be, and Esther HaMalka is two Jews that they are very passionate. Very passionate. How do you know that they're passionate? Because they went extremely. You know how you know that a person is passionate? When they're willing to put their life ahead. Esther HaMalka went to live with Achashverosh, with the Goy. Esther HaMalka was the wife of a Goy for years until the day she died. Why? To save the Jewish nation. Moshe Rabbeinu went in and told God, take away my names. Why? They are both passionate. The first message is in order to win Amalek, you have to be passionate over. The second message, Amalek is a nation that believes in luck. Mazal. Luck. A nation that believes is coincident. You know how I met this man? Coincident. I bump into him. Jews don't believe in coincidence. Jew believe that everything that happened have a reason why that happened. It's always divine providence. Ashgacha pratit. Ashgacha pratit meaning that everything that happened in my life happened for a reason. So this is the second explanation. Amalek and Esther teaching us that when you do something, you have to understand that there's a message behind. The whole story of Megillah happened, look like coincidence. Teva, nature. Come Esther, come Moshe Rabbeinu, and she teach us, is no nature, is God. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, listen to this one. Amalek. Amal Kuf. You know what you mean, Amal Kuf? Amal Kelipa. You know how the devil take us down? When you're praying for so long and you don't see result. What the devil tell you? Your prayer mean nothing. He go to west. This is Amalek. Amal meaning toiled, sweat to Kelipa. Is going to the west. Is going to the garbage. You see? Moshe Rabbeinu prayed 515 tefillot. That he entered the land, yes or no? You know? Esther HaMalka was screaming, Keli, Keli, lama azavtani. God, save me with this Achashverosh. Sarah Imen went in one night with Paro. She prayed to God, what exactly happened? Paro became sick, he had leprosy, don't ask. One night later, he sent Sarah. Esther also prayed. What exactly happened? Nothing happened. Nothing happened. She still remained in the house of Paro. What exactly happened? The message is very simple. Is no good deed that you ever do that is going to waste. Everything is being used. Everything is being used. That tefillot that Moshe Rabbeinu prayed to enter to Eretz Israel is that prayer that God is using until now. Every time we have a terror attack, every time the Goyim try to kill us, what exactly God is using? The prayer of Moshe Rabbeinu in order to save the Jewish nation. The miracle that Esther did, Zachruni ledorot, still mentioned and remain forever until now. Why? Because Esther HaMalka was connected to the Almighty God. They both teaching us that nothing is going to waste.
Pastor, what? Sorry.
It was connected to Hashem Yitbarach, sacrifice and life, and because of that, until our very own days, we celebrate Purim. It was no coincidence, and it's something to be connected. Okay, this is to both of them. Yes.
So we said Amalek, Aleph, Mem, Lamed.
Yes, Amal, Klipa. Kuf is a Klipa. Amal, Klipa. However, Rabotai, I believe, with that I'm going to conclude this topic, that what made both of them great, you know, Rab Chaim Mitzanz, Adivrei Chaim, he had a child that was a very holy man. One day the Hasidim came to Rab Chaim and said, Rab Chaim, your child deserves to be a rabbi, a rebbe. He deserves to replace you. The father said, why? A Rebbe Mitzanz was a very holy man. He said, why did he deserve? You have to see the way that he studied Torah. The whole day he studied Torah, he doesn't stop even a second. The Rebbe said he deserved to be Talmid Chacham, but he doesn't yet deserve to be a rabbi. 1 week later, they came to him and said, Rebbe, if you're going to see the way that he pray, he's taking him shacharit 3 hours. And not only that, fasting, shovavim, ta'ani dibur, fast, not speaking. He's fasting every week for 3 or 4 days, not eating. The Rebbe said, he's a holy man, but he still doesn't deserve to be a Rebbe. 1 week later, they came to him and said, Rebbe, your son deserves to be a Rebbe. Why? Yesterday we saw him, he went outside, it was a snow, freezing weather. You know what he did? He took the coat, he took the suit, he took everything away to give another few Jews to be warm. The Rebbe said, now I know that he can become a Rebbe. Now we deserve. To be a Rebbe is not how much you're praying, it's not how much Torah you know, it's how much you're willing to sacrifice your life. Vayigdal Moshe vayitze elechav. How do you know that Moshe Rabbeinu became big? The fact that he was willing to give his life ahead for the Jews. He was willing to sacrifice for Jews. How do you know that Esther was big? Because Esther was a huge level of sacrifice in order to save the Jews. She put her life ahead. When she went into Achashverosh, when she got married with Achashverosh, which Jewish woman will be willing to live with the Goy, not for kavod, not for respect, to save the Jews? Now you know that they're big. They deserve to become the Rebbes of the Jewish nation. What connects Esther and Moshe, that they are both willing and did it to sacrifice their life. Tonight when you're going back home, light the candles, תהינו נשמת, ולזכר נשמת הצדיקים. זכותם תגן עלינו. משה בן מרים, it was משה רבנו, ואסתר המלכה, אסתר בת אביחיל, and make a wish, but at the same time, before you make a wish, accept yourself to make somebody else's life a little better. Accept yourself to sacrifice a little more to help another Jew, and then make a wish. Make a wish for your life. Wherever Rabbi saying, Dr. Daniel, today we're going to speak about a topic. It's very, very difficult. Maybe the most difficult, maybe the most challenging topic. It's not comfortable, as much that many rabbis spoke about it. But today we're going to try to address it in a whole different eyes. The topic is, speak with your hand. What means speak with your hand? You see, last week parasha was Parashat Terumah. Parashat Terumah, Shimon, Moshe Rabbeinu is coming into the Jewish nation. What God is telling Moshe Rabbeinu, Vayikchu li terumah. Please, Moshe, go and speak to the Jewish nation. Go and convince them. Go and give them a great feeling to give charity, to give terumah. Now, I will ask you these questions. Do you need to speak to the Jewish nation to give terumah? That you need to convince them to give terumah? Chaim, I will give you an example. Listen to this example. I gave you a gift, $1 million. $1 million. 1 week later, I came to you and said, Chaim, I'm building a synagogue. Being a rabbi, I'm building a new synagogue. I'm building a yeshiva. I need from you 100,000. Are you going to say yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, of course.
Obvious, right? Why? Because all the money that you have is for me. I gave you the $1 million. What did I asking from you? 100,000. Gentlemen, Who is the one that gave the Jewish nation the money that they had? Hashem from Egypt, right? You remember when they left Egypt, they took in the darkness moment, and then in Bizat Hayam, when the Egyptian water closed down, each one of the Jews left with 90 donkeys full of gold and diamonds. Do you know how much money we're talking? Not $1 million, maybe $100 million. Each Jew left with $100 to $500 million with him. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Netanel, for 40 years, they never used this money. It was no need to use it. House is free. Food come from heaven free. Water free. Clothing you don't have to change. Everything was free. So God not only giving you money, He made you expenses free. Meaning, you left with 100 million. After 40 years, you still had 100 millions. In between, God is asking the Jewish nation. And He telling Moshe, please, go and beg to the Jews to give money. Go and beg to the Jews to give money? I mean, I don't understand. It was obvious that they had to give. Go and demand. Come, Chazal, and teach us. Money have issue. You know what's the issue of money? From the minute you have it, you cannot let it go. Lev Lavav one time, from the minute you gain the money, you cannot let it go. Money have a nature, it gets stick. It's so easy, it's so difficult to take it out. Lev Lavav said, one time when I went into Israel, he spoke and he said something beautiful. He said, gentlemen, do you think it's difficult to make money? Being a multi-billionaire, I will tell you, it's difficult to make money, very difficult. But you know what's more difficult for making money? To let it go. Every time I need to give charity, it's always that war, that fight. You know how difficult it is to let money go? I will tell you. Rabbi Chen came into my house Shabbat. And Rabbi Chen have a friend that is also in Italia. He's a multi-billionaire guy. They grew up in the yeshiva together. They know each other from the minute that they had nothing. So Rabbi Chen feels very free with him. He doesn't give him kavod, respect like a multi-billionaire. Hello, we grew up in the same yeshiva. Don't get carried away. So one day, Rabbi Chen came and asked the guy, tell me, Moshe, I'm not remember his names. He said, Moshe, can I ask you a friendly question? Not easy, but friendly. Your address, you know what's mean address? In Italy, every rabbi that comes from Israel know only his names. They come to Italy especially to meet with him. And you know how many rabbis come? Maybe 1,000 to 10,000 people a year to collect money from this guy. So he asked him, because your name is so popular, because you give so much charity, can you share with me the feeling that you have every time somebody comes to ask you for charity? Listen to his explanation. You're going to be frightened to hear. And he was so honest. He said, Rabbi Chen, because you are my friend, I will tell you. Every time a person is coming to take from me money, I feel like they take part my blood. You know, when you give a donation of blood, I feel that I give one, how do you call it?
1 pint of blood.
1 pint?
Pint.
Pint?
Yeah, it's a measure.
Oh, yes. 1 pint of blood away from me. He said, you don't understand how difficult it is for me. Every time I have to. Can I give you proof? Can I give it to you proof? Yosef, do you want to have proofs? Proof from the Torah? Every day we said 3 times a day something. What do we say 3 times every day? Which tefillah we repeat 3 times every day? Asher Vaknin, Potech et Yadecha. Okay. What else? Uva Letzion, beautiful. Korbanot, beautiful. What else? Shmona Esrei, beautiful. What else? Kriyat Shema. Twice, Arvit v'Shacharit, and Kriyat Shema al Hamita. Right? So 3 times. Shema Israel. How do we say in Shema? ואהבת את השם אלוקיך. בכל לבבך, meaning with what? With all your heart. Next level, much difficult. Next level is much more difficult. What is more difficult from your heart? בכל Nafshecha meaning? With all your soul. Meaning if they ask you to idol worship or to die, what do? You die. You sacrifice your life. You have to give your... Is anything bigger from giving your life away? Nothing, right? What's the next steps? Much greater? Bechol ma'otcha. מה זה ma'otcha? With all your money. Kam Chazalin said, it's much more easy to give your life from giving money away. How do we see it? Every day in that tefillah, you said, bechol levavcha, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your money. Money is supposed to be in the middle. Every time I feel that they're taking my blood away.
How does he fight it?
You see, huh?
How does he fight it then?
Very nice. So this is the secret today. Because of that, you came here to the BJCC Youth Minyan, Third floor. The place to be. To hear how exactly, not he fight it, how exactly each one of us can fight it. How exactly we can overcome this temptation. Why that I'm talking about this topic today? Today is Purim. If there's anything that Purim is knowing about, not Purim, Adar, Chodesh Adar, if there's anything this month is knowing, that in Purim we're giving charity. All the rabbis is coming, thousands of them, from Israel to collect money. You're going to see in your doors, in the synagogues, all day long, giving charity. One of the mitzvot of Purim is what? Matanot la evyonim. You have to give to the poor. How do you let something that is so difficult to let it go? I sweat for it so much. How can I give it away? But that is the most difficult things. How did Chazal said? Oev kesef. No isba kesef. What did I say? Oev kesef. A person that loves money will never be enough. You always need more and more and more and more. Was a rabbi that said, you see, what David HaMelech compared the Torah? Tov li Torat picha me'alfei zahav v'chesef. God, your Torah is so good, like gold and diamonds. Mordechai, did you ever thought why David HaMelech compared Torah to gold and Torah, the greatest gift of God, as spiritual items, to make it like gold and diamonds? Long life. How can David HaMelech compare? This rabbi came and said, beautiful. You know why David HaMelech compared it? Not because Torah compared to money, chad v'shalom. Torah is 10,000 better. You know why? David HaMelech said, gentlemen, I wish that you're going to have a thirst to Torah the same way that you have thirst for money. You see, a person have one house. And what did he say? If I'm just going to buy this house, it's going to be enough. After 1 year, when he pays some of the mortgage, he's already thinking the next house. This time I bought an apartment, now I'm going to buy a private house. After the private house, I will buy a bigger house from the private. How many times you said, if I will make $100,000 salary a year, I will be happy?
Never enough.
Do you know any person that is happy? If somebody will give you a diamonds, $100,000 gift today, you're going to say enough? Rabbi, if he's going to give me 2 diamonds, it's going to be much better. If I will give you two diamonds, what's good? No, it's good enough. If nobody give you, it's okay. But if you know I'm giving you 1 diamond, $100,000 gift, and then I come to you and said, Aaron, I have another diamond. Do you want this one gift also? Are you going to tell me it's enough? But Rav, tfaddal. Feel free to give me even another 3, right? But when you come to Shiur Torah, when the time is finished, 9 o'clock, Kvod Rav, gentlemen, do you want another shiur? Rabbi, it was good enough for today. Today we made it. We took our injection. Enough is enough. Next week, Be'ezrat Hashem, B'shana Abba, B'Yerushalayim HaBnuya. Next year we're going to see you, Be'ezrat Hashem. Next week, next year. Come David HaMelech and said, gentlemen, I wish that you're going to love Torah the same way you love diamonds and gold. I never heard nobody said enough for Torah and gold. The same way is never enough. Torah have to be in these levels. So let's go. What is the tip? What is the advice? What is the secret? In order to convince a person to give charity. Speak with your hand. Talk is cheap. Actions speak much louder from any word. When you come into a poor person, you say, listen, I'm praying for God, that God will give you health, God will give you happiness. It's nice. You don't really care. When a person is coming to you to ask for charity, the main things that you have to do is not only to pray, is to open your wallet and let your hand speak, loud and clear. If you have $100, $50, $10, no matter what you have, but speak with your hand. It's difficult? It's not difficult. It's the most difficult things. Taking blood away, I will give you 3 advice. How can you overcome any test with money? The first one is, remember that, you see, the reason that regarding to money, you see, our parasha is giving us this. What's the parasha said? Va'ikhu li teruma. Yosef, in Hebrew, when you give charity, you take charity or you give charity? What's the right way to say? Ani noten tzedakah or ani lokech tzedakah? If you are the sponsor, if you are the rich man that give charity, are you taking charity or you giving charity? Given. Avi has given. So why the pasuk said, Vaikhu? You know what you mean Vaikhu in English? Take for me charity. Who takes charity? God is asking the Jews to give charity to build the synagogues, to build the Mishkan. And which word the God is using? Vaikhu. Please ask the Jews to take away the charity. In Hebrew is a mistake. He's supposed to say, Va'itnu li teruma. Ask the Jews to give it to me. So come the Bet Levi and said, the first thing that a person has to remember, that when you give in charity, you don't give, you take. You know why you don't give, you take? Because the only things that will remain with you is the charity that you give. When they ask, I believe that it was Rav Moshe Montefiore, one time the king asked him, Rav Moshe, how much money you own? How much money you have? Because his friends came to the king and said, this Jewish man is stealing from you. So he came and he said, I have $5 million. The minister said, you see, he's stealing. Only the building that he owns is 200 million. I'm not talking about the cars, I'm not talking about the houses, I'm not talking about, he owns easily 500 million. How did he say 5 million? He put Rav Moshe in the jail. The story is being said about other rabbis, the message is clear. When he took Rav Moshe, he said, Rav Moshe, before I'm going to continue to punish you, you know I love you very much. Why do you lie? Why do you say that you have only 5 million? Rav Moshe said, my dear king, now that you put me in the jail, my building belonged to who? The king said to me. My houses belong to who? The king said to me. My cars belong to who? He said to me. My bank account belonged to who? He said to me. He said 100%. But the only money that will never be belong to you is the $5 million that I gave charity. When you give in charity, the only money that stays with you in this world and in the world to come is the money that you give away. We all know that nature of business is sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, sometimes you're making money, sometimes you lose money. But the only money that you never lose, you just gaining, is the money that you give charity. The first message.
Quick question.
Yes.
So charity, tzedakah is not charity, right?
So justice. Yes. Tzedakah is justice. We're going to touch this one. Well, this is one of the points that we're trying to. You see, I will ask you, Dr. Daniel, what is the Jews did when they left Egypt? They took what? They took unlimited wealth. It was a mitzvah. By the way, it was 2 mitzvot. One mitzvah is to take the wealth of Egypt. The other mitzvah is to take the bone of Yosef Tzaddik, the bones of Yosef. Who is the only one that took the bones? Moshe Rabbeinu. Who is the only one there? Who is the one that took the money? All the Jews. This mitzvah, everybody did. Midoraita, midarabanan, according to Arashash, Arizal, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, לפי כל השיטות, חומרה, בד"ץ, kashrut in the highest level. Why? It's a mitzvah, right? Now, tell me, is any money left from this money that they left from Egypt? Anyone here can say, you know, I'm rich because of my parents. That money after one generation gone. But the mitzvah that Moshe Rabbeinu took is with him in this world and in the world to come. ויקח משה את עצמות יוסף עמו. He took the bones of Yosef with him. What mean with him? With him in this world and in the world to come. Every time you give charity, you have to remember that this money is going to be the only money that is going to stay with you. I will end this point, and then we're going to move to the next point. I will end with this point, with this wealthy man, that he was about to die. He was a multi-billionaire. He had 3 children. He knew that after he's going to die, it's going to be World War III. Each one of them is going to have another World War. World War I, II, and III. He knew that they're not going to speak with each other. He saw that some of them is already waiting for him. He saw one child practice the Kaddish. He's still alive. He practiced the Kaddish. Why? Because he's waiting for his father to go away. Everybody's... You know what the father did? He left him 2 wheels. 2 envelope. Wheels. To divide the money. And he requests, 1 wheel you open before you bury me, and the second letter you open after you bury me. Okay. Usually never happen. Usually they always happen after the Shiva. But he requests. They opened the first letter. And the letter said, my dear children, I demand and I requested that you have to bury me with the socks. My socks. I love my socks. He had maybe special socks. Not from Costco. From an expensive store. I don't know. I want to be buried with the socks. Now this guy gave so much money to all the yeshivot. Which rabbi were going to tell him no? They came to the cemetery, they said, you have to be buried. The rabbi is looking, they ask all Gedolei, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, Rabbi Chaim Kanevsky, Lavdil ben Chaim ben Neftarim. They asked all the rabbanim. They came out to the family and they said, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but if you want your father to be buried in the Jewish cemetery, I don't care how much money we're going to lose. We cannot go against Halakha. Halakha said that you're not allowed to bury a person with the socks. You came naked, you live naked. They bury him naked. After they bury him, the 7 days pass through, they open the second letters. And the second letters start like that. My dear children, before you fighting over the money, remember that you don't take even a socks from this world. Before you come into to fight and not to speak and to hate each other, remember that nothing, not even a socks, you cannot do. What a beautiful message. The fourth message, why is it easy to give charity? If you remember that money is temporary and the mitzvah is yours forever, it's very easy to give charity. ויקחו, מוריי ורבותיי, second messages. Second messages. Dr. Daniel, if I give you 100,000 and I'm getting from you 1 million, I'm giving you or I'm taking? If I give you 100,000 and I got 1 million, I actually gave or I took? In which level I am? In the giving side or in the receiver side? Receiving.
First or the second?
I'm giving, I give you 100,000 and I got in that spot 1 million. I'm a giver or I'm a taker?
Receiver. You're a receiver.
Receiver, taker. I'm taking more. I'm more in the taking side from giving. Come the Torah and said, ויקחו לי תרומה. You know why ויקחו לי תרומה? If you remember one time in the class we said that the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave ideas. If you want to become rich, if a person wants to become with unlimited wealth, don't have mercy on God. You know what you mean, don't have mercy on God? Many of us give in Maaser, 10%. But how exactly we give the Maaser? First of all, we make money, and when the money comes, then we give Maaser. After all the expenses, and the expenses of the house, and the expenses of the money, of the business, and the expenses of the children. If anything left, we give 10%. Come the Rebbe and said, revolution ideas. And I'm using these ideas. And I see miracles in the last few years. The Rebbe said, come, and if you want to make $100,000 clean this year, if you want to make $1 million, accept on yourself from tonight. God, this year I'm giving you 100,000. And tonight I will start with $1,000. I start. And every month you give.
What if you don't have 100,000 yet?
You don't need to have. You start. I said, tonight I start with $1,000, right? And slowly, with the money, I'm going to give more. But now I have 1,000, I'm giving ahead. I'm not waiting to make the money. I force you, God, because aser ta'aser leman titasher. God is asking from you 10%, and He's giving you 90. Tell me, you are giving or you are receiving? You are 90% receiving and 10% giving. I'm sorry to say it. 10% giving is not giving, is receiving. The pasuk said, "Vayikhu li teruma." When you give charity, you don't give, you gain 90%. You hear that? It's so easy to remember that for every amount of charity that you give, you get 90%. The Rebbe is the only one that came with revolution ideas and said, don't have mercy on God. No, God doesn't need you. No. It's so difficult. I will not ask $500,000. It's too much. Too much for who? Too much for you. Too much for God. God is the owner of the world. Why you have mercy on Him? You want to be a wealthy man? I met a person in this community that last year he gave $50,000. He came to me a few months ago and said, Rabbi Vaknin, I already made the $500,000 profit. $500,000 profit. This guy is not a businessman. He's not such a wow. But he's making unlimited. Why? He had no mercy on God. God doesn't need our mercy. We need His mercy. They make no mistakes. Challenge the Almighty God. Challenge Him from the Torah. You promise us to challenge you with the Maaser. So I'm not going to wait for the Maaser to give you. I will give you ahead. Then you have no choice. You have to make your own part. If you are the partner, you have to fulfill your own promise. And God will never let you down. Vayikhu li teruma. Take. You don't really give. You take. This is the second explanation that the Rebbe said. This is what Chazal said. And only Judaism acts with charity like that. The Gemara said, יותר מאשר העשיר עושה עם העני, העני עושה עם העשיר. Shimon, you know what's the meaning? Every time you give charity, you have to tell the poor man, thank you for taking your money. What do? We give charity. And if he doesn't say thank you, that's it. What a chutzpan. Why he doesn't know how to appreciate it. Why he doesn't tell me thank you. The Gemara said, you have to tell him thank you. He's making a favor from taking to you the money. He's making you a favor. One time there was a person that came to me. Mordechai was teaching. He was teaching in yeshiva. I took him in to Thursday night. I'm going for almost 119 weeks, direct. Every week, Thursday night, we have 5 guys that for 119 weeks we meet in the Lubavitcher Rebbe grave. 119 weeks, meaning almost 3 years. 3 years. Weeks, not 100. So I went in Mordechai and I met him. I opened the books. He asked me, Rabbi, can you open the answer of the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Igrot Kodesh? I said, yes. We opened the books because he had a debate to continue to teach in the yeshiva or not to continue. He's a brilliant guy. He was thinking, money-wise, I can do much better outside. Listen to the answer of the Rebbe. The Rebbe wrote a letter to a person that teaches in yeshiva. It was no coincidence, it was divine. And the Rebbe writes to this guy that teaching, he said, don't worry, your blessing is from God. And God always paid. And Be'emet, the Rebbe said, I'm supposed to tell you to work for free because they making you a favor to teach in yeshiva. Not only that they don't have to get you paid, you have to pay them for teaching in the yeshiva. But because I know, the Rebbe writes to this guy, because I know that you have money issue, so the money that they give you is amazing, and God will complete the rest. So I asked the guy, that you got the answer? He said, Rabbi, the answer was loud and clear. He's still teaching in that yeshiva, and he's doing amazing. Health-wise, miracle-wise, and even money-wise. He's doing amazing. You see, every time you give charity to a poor man, you don't have to tell him thank you. He doesn't have to tell you thank you. You have to tell him, thank you very much for getting my money. Every time we have a person that's coming in, every rabbi that's coming in the morning, I always conclude, thank you for coming to our minyan. And don't ever stop, don't ever stop. And every time you're around, this is your home, away from home. We are privileged to have people that come in and give us the privilege to get 90% extra from what we're giving. The more that you give, the more that you get. Very easy to remember. When you remember that, you don't give blood. This rich man was mistaken. You get blood. You get blood and you don't get regular blood, you get 90% over from what you give. That's when he didn't know. This guy didn't come to the shiur of tonight. He didn't come to the BJCC with me on third floor, because then he will talk different. Last but not least, the last explanation of tonight. What exactly a person has to do? I saw Rav Ashkenazi write in the most beautiful ways. Just to conclude, 1 second. You see, when Moshe Rabbeinu gave charity, what did the pasuk say? He saw a coin of gold and fire. Right? Machzit shekel and fire. They knew. So it was one rabbi that came to me and he gave me a beautiful, one rabbi that collected money. He said, Rabbi Vaknin, I will give you a chidush. Every Shabbat we said what? Bamei madlikin, bamei madlikin. What is the 3 questions that every man have to ask himself every Shabbat? No, not the 3 mitzvot. The 3 questions that a person have to ask himself every Erev Shabbat. Nathaniel, what's the 3 questions? Every Friday night we ask. Isarten, Iraften, Adliku Itane, right? And you made Maaser, that you made the roof, light the candles. Listen to his explanation.
What are the 3 in English?
That you made Maaser, meaning that you divide the food to 10%. That you made the roof, meaning can you carry outside of the neighborhood? You know, you're not allowed to carry from one domain. That you made the roof. And last, light the candle of Shabbat. Beautiful. Now, Menachem, listen to this one. This rabbi came and said, no. When you're coming into a rich man and you tell them, Isarten, can you give charity? What the rich man respond, Iraften, do you have guarantor? Give me guarantor. What the poor man has to answer him, Adliku Itaner, light the candles. What the candle have to do? Tell me, when one candle light another candle, that is losing by lighting somebody else? Nothing. Just the opposite, is getting more light. Come the poor man and said, by you giving me charity, not only that you lose, your light become much bigger. Now you become more stronger. When you ask me, when I ask you 10% and you said give me a guarantor, have guarantor, light the candles. See the flame of the fire. Fire never get lost, never get reduced. Just the opposite, getting bigger. When the fire is going out and she light more and more, the fire doesn't get small, just the opposite, get bigger. Every charity you give, you get bigger and bigger. Last but not least, I know today I'm getting another few minutes, but it's the
connection between charity and Purim.
awareness. Now, in Purim, one of the mitzvot is matanot la'evyonim. Matanot la'evyonim meaning gift for poor. And in Purim we have a rule. Only in Purim, by the way, this rule. כל הפושט יד נותנים לו ואין מערים אחריו. Anyone that extends his hand in Purim, by the way, this rule is in general, but in Purim especially, you have to give him and you're not allowed to ask questions. Why? So we said one reason is because what stays with you is the charity. The second reason is you're not only giving, you're receiving much more from what you're giving. You give 10%, you get 90%. But there's another one. That one.
Why do you get 90%?
No, because God guarantee. I don't know why 90, but God guarantee. The Torah said, challenge me with the 10%. You give 10, I give you 100. Why? God decide. 10%, the master. Okay. You see, if you remember one time we spoke about it. You know why giving charity is so important? Because, you see, I shared in Shabbat and Friday night. I was a rabbi in the Syrian community before I came here for 8 years. One of the wealthy people, Zichrono Livracha, Rahmat Konam, his name is Mr. Marvin Azrak. Marvin Azrak was the president of Achrezer synagogue. He had a cousin or whatever, one of the family member, Rabbi Levi from Mexico. He shared with me one story. Rabbi Levi came from Mexico to collect money for the new synagogue that he's going to build in Mexico. Marvin Azrak had few rich people In 5 minutes, in one day, he collect for him $3.5 million cash. He gave them checks, go and deposit and build the synagogue. Rabbi Levi said, no. I'm taking only 1 million. He said, I don't know, why are you taking 1 million? You told me you need 3.5. So I don't know, how much money you need? He said, I need 3.5. So why are you taking only 1 million? He said, Mr. Marvin, I want my synagogue to be full. The only way to make sure that the members will come to the synagogue is they become a partner. How do you become a partner? When you invest. When you give something away from you, you become part. If I will build a synagogue and I will pay every time, we have every Fridays, every Wednesday, we have a couple class. And happen to be that once in a year, each person from we have 25 to 40 couples, B'nai Einara every week. It's a full house, B'nai Einara. Happen to be that once in a year, each couple accept on himself to donate, to sponsor one night. I have a guy that already for so long is pushing me, Rabbi Vaknin, why the center will not pay? Let the center. He always worry that the people will not take the money away from them. Robin Hood. He cared for the people. I said, my dear friends, I don't want the center to pay. But why not? You don't understand. You want the shiur to be full? You want the shiur to be full? What do you think the secret that the shiur is full? When a person pays $250, he will be here for the whole year to make sure that the food that he's getting will be worth his money. To make sure that the shiur Torah that is here in the message, he will remember the message forever. I can repeat word by word. Why? He pay money. When you're coming into free lectures, how the lecture was amazing. What exactly the rabbi spoke. But it was a good lecture. It was amazing. You see, many times when you're going into psychology, you know why you listen to psychology much better from rabbis? Because psychology, when you pay $350 an hour, a rabbi, he's working Hashem Shamayim. And if he will ask you for money, crisis, all the rabbanim. But when psychology charge you $350 an hour, and they call it professional hours. You know what you mean professional? They steal in 50 minutes, and they made it professional. It's actually 45 minutes. It's not really. But now, the word professional make it fancy. This way I can steal 15 minutes and still charge you for full price, $350. You don't say he's a thief, he's ganav. Do you think that the rabbi study less from this professor? The rabbi, all his life is one work, is one studies. Every second of his life he's spending for. But, so nobody take the advice of the rabbis, even though that his advice is Torah-wise, spirituality-wise, advice of God. But when you pay $350, you will listen no matter what. His ideas was a brilliant idea. Wow, I never thought about it. Why? You pay money. Come the Almighty God and said, I don't need a servant. I need partners. I want you to become my partners. You know how you become my partner? Put money. Build a synagogue with me. I need your money, not because God needs our money. God wants us to become partners. When I say become partners, how did we become God? Do you want to become God? Do you want to have unlimited blessing in life? Do you want to achieve the highest level of awakening the godliness in you? How do you awaken the godliness? One way is by giving charity. Why giving charity? Because every time you give charity, you have the name Yud Ke Vav Ke. Yud Ke Vav Ke. How do you have to? You see, this is Hey. Why Hey? 5 fingers. So you have A. Vav is the hand. Vav, right? Vav is a long, right? Vav. So Yud is the, another Hey is the poor man hand. You take Hey, you have Vav. The poor man have is his hand. How do you call it? Hey, another 5. The poor man, and the money, the coin is Yud. Yud Ke Vav Ke. Every time you give charity, you awaken the name of God. Simple explanation. I will tell you even more. You don't need to go to the so deep. God is a giver. Every time you give, you awake the godliness side of you. A man, a human being, is not a giver. He is a receiver. He is a taker by nature. Do you realize when a child is small, all the things that you clean them, you give him food, he's screaming, shouting, me, and me. This is the way. How did a person come to the world? Why? Because I'm here to take. I'm here to take as much. A human being by nature is a taker. You ask a person, why do you love your wife? My wife is beautiful. My wife is smart. My wife, she's cooking amazing. My wife, the house is always clean. My wife is a great mother. I ask you why you love your wife, not why you love yourself. So far, everything that you mention is about you. She's beautiful, you enjoy. She's a great mother, you enjoy because you have no headache with the children. The house is clean, you enjoy. You don't have to clean the house. Everything that you mention is about yourself. That you realize that we are the most selfishness and taker people in the world. The only time that you become God, to awake the neshama. Not the Yud Kei Vav Kei, the neshama that is part of God. Every time you give, you awake that part. You become godliness. Listen to this one. Dr. Daniel, listen to this one. There was a woman that went in to the biggest, one of the biggest malls in America. You know these malls in New Jersey? This is considered to be one of the biggest. I went over there one time. Hopefully I will never go again. 8 hours with my wife. It was amazing, 8 hours. She didn't find anything. You know, only woman can spend 8 hours. I didn't find nothing to wear. I didn't find any shoes. I said, buy the whole mold. I cannot spend 8 hours not buying. I mean, after 5 minutes, if it doesn't buy, you get nervous. A woman can spend, I enjoy. You ask the wife. So it was amazing. What a beautiful days. What we spent 8 hours and we didn't buy. We like the check line. We like the. So I went over there, 8 hours. We didn't finish quarter molds. We didn't finish quarter. She said, next week, B'ezrat Hashem. I said, Lashana Haba b'Yerushalayim B'niyah. Which I'm not going to. This was miserable. This woman came into this mall. She see this child, poor man. A child that you see the clothing ripped, shoes ripped. He looked like he never ate for the last 3 days. He's looking on the window shield of a sports store. She came to me, she said, excuse me, what's the reason you're looking? And he's with the eyes like this. What's the reason you're looking over there? He said, ma'am, I have dreams. And my dream is I want to buy this bicycle. She was a wealthy woman, a Jewish one. She said, no problem. She took him in. She bought him a clothing. She bought him a brand new shoes. She took him into a restaurant to eat. After he finished everything, she gave them ice cream as well. Then she took him into the store and she bought him a motorcycle, bicycle. A minute before he left, he said, ma'am, can I ask you a personal question? She said, yes, indeed. What is your question? He said, ma'am, are you a God? She said, no, but I am his daughter. Every time you give, you awake godliness on you. The greatest level of giving is to become like God. You see, as long that you're taking, you're a small human being. Another human being, great guy, nice guy, I don't know, great, nice guy. But when you give in, you discover the godliness on you. Now you understand why it's so easy to give. Now you understand. First of all, anything that you have left, like the first message is, the money that you give. What a person is taking, he doesn't take even a sacks, but he's taking the charity that he gives. Second, when you're giving, you're not giving. You're receiving 90%. So you're not only giving, you receive even more. And last but not least, every time you give, you awake godliness on you. Hopefully this Purim, we're going to give. And you know why Purim you give? Because in Purim we have halakha. What's the halakha? You give unlimited. And God have to fulfill this halakha. So the same way that you give unlimited, God will give all of us unlimited, without asking any questions, to give us a long life. Let us say amen. Amen. A healthy life. Amen. A happy life. Amen. A wealth unlimited. Amen. To give us shalom bayit amiti. The one that need to get married, to give us kol sashon v'kol shivcha, kol chatan v'kol kala. The one that need to see nachat from the children, to raise our children, the Torah, chuppah u'maasim tovim. And hopefully to see all of us in our generation, tonight, to be married to see Mashiach Tzidkenu. B'mehera b'yameinu v'nomar amen. Thank you very much.